Good morning, everybody. You are tuned to Computers 2K Now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next 2 hours, along with Steve.
Hello, everybody.
Good morning, good afternoon. And Mike is here.
I am here. I am right here.
Good morning. And Yorick is with us.
Yeah, hello.
Hello. Our numbers, 919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And this morning's show is made possible by Telestream's Wirecast software and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. And welcome to everybody in the chat and all the others who are listening. So what's going on, guys? What stands out kind of like is, I want to talk about that.
Europe's got some lovely weather at the moment.
Uh-oh. I sense sarcasm.
From me, as if.
It's actually very nice here right now. 73 degrees, partly cloudy.
Right, Europe's in the 30s and 40s, sort of 80s, 90s degrees, but we've got a cold spell.
Well, wait.
111 in South Europe.
But we're on the edge of that, so we've got the cold spells where it's like 70 degrees if you're lucky, cloudy, rain, wind, and then you get some sunny spells in between, which you're taking above 70. But it's a complete fail. July was a complete failure, and here we are now in August, and it looks like it's going to be another complete failure.
What does that mean?
Well, it just means that we're not going to have a summer this year, by the looks of it.
How can that be with global warming?
Exactly. Global warming, climate change.
We're in the northern hemisphere, right up at the top, and we get the opposite of global warming. It actually gets colder here when it gets hotter nearer the equator. It's the opposite.
We call that climate.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like up to the English Channel. You go across, from this mile to the next mile, and it's like scorching hot, and the water's boiling. And you come across our side, and it's all cold and miserable and bleh.
Oh, it's all right. It's
It'll
not
get better eventually.
Are you saying you like warm weather?
I don't like it when it's that hot. I would prefer it to be around 70 like it is now, but without the rain.
I see. Well, doesn't it rain about 3/4 of the year there?
About 2/3 perhaps.
Okay.
But it's not easy to take the dog out. You sort of look at the forecast and think, yeah, I might get 10 minutes then. And then because you live behind a hill, the hill develops a cloud and it wasn't forecast. So you can't go out. Never mind. We'll get 3 nice days and then it'll be winter.
Yeah, we're not far from that, are we?
No, not at all. But I'm glad you've got nice weather.
We've been lucky.
What do you mean we've been lucky?
So far, we've been lucky this summer. It wasn't as bad as last year.
Has been brutal.
The last year was even more brutal, if you want to talk brutal. Come on.
I don't know.
Well, how many days did we have 100?
I had air conditioner troubles this year, so it was brutal.
Oh, well, yeah. That would be. That would be. Um, oh, last week during the show and during the shows on Monday and Tuesday, I apparently had Time Warner problems. I thought the problem was here, but when you look on the screen on Wirecast, there is a button that shows you that you're streaming. That button has, when everything is okay, has a red frame to it. If the bandwidth goes down or if there's a problem, it goes yellow. And then if there's no more streaming, it's blank. I mean, it's like it's not even highlighted. So during the show last week, I saw that it's going yellow and back to red, and yellow and back to red, and yellow and back to red. And that normally means there's a problem with the internet. I got up and looked at the modem. The modem looked fine. So since I'm from the main machine, I'm streaming to Twitch and to Facebook, I closed them down. I stopped the streaming to Facebook and Twitch. And it stayed red the rest of the show. I didn't think about checking the speed. Monday, during Marilyn's show, it was the same thing. And then in the evening on Solutionary TV, same thing. I said, okay, I've got a problem somewhere. I rebooted everything and still. So I checked the speed. Down speed, I mean, the ping on the average was about 40. Mm. The down speed was anywhere from 170, 180 to 280. But the up speed was less than 5.
And it should be how much? 20?
20. So I tried different servers on speed test, same thing. And it was struggling to get up there. So I called Time Warner, and when first to be.
Let me tell you. Let me guess what they said. Well, we only guarantee up to 20.
No, they did not. That was no. I was sort of happy with them to a certain point.
All right, go ahead.
I connected a computer directly to the modem and got the same results. That's when I called them. So the girl said, well, let you talk to somebody in level 2, whatever. And they went and they looked at the modem and they looked at this and they said, no, you should get about 20. There's definitely a problem in your setup, but we're going to have to send somebody out there. I said, okay. Said, the closest we have, this is Tuesday morning. Said, tomorrow between 10 and 11. Okay. Then it was, as she's doing all that, she said, oh, it won't let me do 10 to 11. 12 to 1. I said, that's fine.
Well, wait a minute. It won't let us do 12 to 1.
No, it was fine. She said, yeah, okay, so you set up for tomorrow. I said, have them call before they come, just to be on the safe side. She said, yeah, well, you will. So I got a phone call and another phone call during the day. And then the next day, are you sure you want them? And I checked it, and it was the same thing. And I said, yep, confirm. About 12 o'clock, 12:05, I'm sitting in the living room, and I'm looking outside, and there are 2 Spectrum trucks, vans, coming by, and the guys go out and put those cones and everything. And Said, oh, okay, well, they didn't call, so let me go. And I came in the office, and I'm checking again, and lo and behold, 320 by 22. They just arrived. So I tried again, and I tried on different sites, same thing. So I went out there, and oh, good morning, good afternoon, whatever, and I said, what did you guys do so far? Said, nothing. I said, yeah, you did. Said, no, why? Is it okay? I said, yeah. It wasn't okay about an hour ago, but it's okay now. So you guys must have done something. He said, no, we didn't do anything.
They scared it into submission.
Well, so we were standing around and talking, and he was saying, maybe you were using too much data. I said, yeah, but you guys, I mean, I'm streaming. I don't use that much, but you guys don't throttle. He said, we don't know now with Spectrum if we do or we don't. And I said, well, the deal is there's no caps. And he said, you're going to have to go and talk to somebody and see. I mean, and you can get into this area here and check the usage. I checked the usage. It was less, much less. I think it was like 550 gig for the month. And there were 4 days left. So I can't remember. But that wasn't it. And the thing that scared me is when it comes up, the report, it comes up with 4 graphs, 4 months. And you see April, May, June, July, or it was maybe May, June, July, August. And up at above it in the text, it said usage for this. How did it go? Usage for this period is 1 terabyte. And I said, wait a second, how can it be exactly 1 terabyte? Are they telling me now that they're capping me at 1 terabyte? So I keep on looking, and I went and I turned off a couple of months, and yeah, it went down. So I said, oh, they're taking, I guess it wasn't, if I added all these numbers together, it was over 1 terabyte. But it's been okay since. Absolutely fine. No, not a bit of a problem. It's just amazing that somebody did something. There is, I went on Down Detector, and there were a lot of people in the area that were complaining about being down. Now, I wasn't down. It was just, for what I was doing, it was unusable. It was fine for email. It was fine for surfing. It was fine for the TV. Everything was fine. But to stream up in 6-7 megabit, it would not, it didn't support it.
Alan makes a good point. He said they might have had other truck rolls scheduled in the area and they located the problem. The truck you had may have had something unrelated to you previous to you.
Well, it's very possible. I know. But I mean, they would, because they were saying, well, we didn't have any problems in the area. We're not doing any work in the area. I mean, it looked like it was like a supervisor and a trainee, because one of the guys was, the older guy was standing on the side, and every now and then he would interject something, and he let the other guy speak. But he's the one that was talking about throttling, maybe, not knowing and all that. So, but he said, we are not doing any work in our area, but it could be that something was done somewhere. I said, look, this happened before a few months ago, and you guys had to go and do, and this is actually when I bought the new modem that is still wrapped on the shelf that I never used, because they told me that there was a bad channel in the modem. And that's why the speed was slower. And I went ahead and I got another modem, ordered it, but the next day after I ordered it, everything went back to normal. So I never even unwrapped the new modem. And I said that it happened before, and you were talking about a bad channel. It was not. So now what is all this? You guys don't know. There must be something in the area. Couldn't get a straight answer. But it's fine now. What are you looking? What are you searching, Mike? Something about that?
No,
Oh,
no, I'm just listening. I mean, just be patient. You'll have more problems.
yeah. I can't wait for AT&T or Google to come to the area.
You can forget Google.
I don't know why. What's his name?
They are so poorly managed.
That's fine as long as they have access that's stable.
Well, there's some people around here who have it, and they claim that it works really well.
Well, you see, I don't need the management side of it in the back. I need it to be reliable. And Tony Bruno just got it. He told me, he said, I broke down and got Google.
Why would you break down? If it were available today, I would order it today.
Yeah.
Because they all suck, but at least Google is the best of the lot at the moment.
I don't know anybody that has Google, so I don't know. If you heard from people and they say it works very well, that's nice.
Yes, they have it in some places in Morrisville and in North Raleigh.
Well, apparently they have it in Cary because that's where Tony is.
Well, that's good to know, but then again, they've got
I don't know where, but
you don't know where he lives.
I don't know where he lives in Cary. I didn't even ask him, but he said after I have it for a couple of weeks, I will come on the show and give a report.
Parts of Cary are indistinguishable from Morrisville.
That's
so
true.
I'm thinking he's on the west side of Cary at somewhere near an intersection with Morrisville. That seems to be where it is. If you go to dslreports.com to the AT&T sub forum, there's probably a map in there somewhere where it's rolling out. There's a guy on the forum who goes by F100 who is tracking every move they make. I believe he works at UNC. He's expecting them to I think, provide the service to him at some point. He's been charting where they dig the ground, where they put in the fiber, what sort of interface they're putting in, where they're putting in the central office. And I mean, he's really frustrating himself because they don't give a rat's behind about him or anything. And it was really funny. As an aside, it was really funny at one point about a year ago once they started coming out, and he said, well, they need to contact with me so I can tell them how I want them to run the fiber into my yard. I want to put it into conduit, and I need to know when they're coming out to do it. And I'm going to be off. I'm not going to be off work until next week, so they need to get up with me pretty soon. Yep. I don't know that was F100. That was somebody else in the forum. F100 seems to be a pretty smart guy.
See, and Charles is saying he can get 100 symmetrical in downtown Cary from AT&T, but no fiber.
Well, if it's not fiber, I wouldn't trust 100 symmetrical. If it's you're actually getting that, that's pretty amazing. But I have 1 gig symmetrical, and it's a joke.
And guess what? When I was on the site looking at statistics,
what site?
on the Spectrum.
I'm in Spectrum. Yes. Okay.
I looked at the URL, and guess what the URL says? Charter. It doesn't say Spectrum, whatever. It's a Charter website. Charter, blah, 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 Spectrum, So, and then I went and I can't remember what I was looking for, something else. And maybe it was, I saw that I had a email address with them, which I never knew. So I tried to go and check it, and it says, who is your provider? It was a Charter. It said, who's your provider? Spectrum, TW, Time Warner Cable, or maybe it was Charter or something else. So they are the owners. I mean, we hear Spectrum, but it's really Charter.
Well, but I think that if you will do some research, you will find out that Charter has the worst business reputation of
I
any company in the
I
United
understand
States.
that. That's why I
And I
mean,
suspect what you're going to see is that the Charter name is going to be rebranded to Speculum.
yeah, it may be. Good
And
morning,
changing the
Andrew.
name will solve all the problems, right?
Yeah, but it's just amazing how these things are going. Is it Charter? Uh, It's like I remember months ago they were talking the Charter is going to buy it, and then it went by the wayside, and it became Spectrum is going to buy it. And it's like it's sort of like the way that what's his name 680 who owns 680 AM Mike
John Curtis.
Curtis. It's the way that Curtis bought 850 the Buzz in a roundabout way. So it was just. But anyway, right now everything is okay, and it was great. This is another reassurance that having the AT&T Uverse, even though it's only 45 by 5, which is about 50 by 6.5, kept the streaming going on both machines. No, on one machine, not both machines, because I never really switched it here. But it kept on going, even though Time Warner was flaky. So I'm still hoping that AT&T will come out with their gigapower here, or even something faster, because they were talking that they're going to change. The 45 by 5 is no longer offered, and they're going to go to 100 by 10 or 100 by 20. I can't remember. They said it's going to be our slowest speed, and that will be fine with me. At that point, I mean, the download speed is not that important. I mean, it is, but it's not for what I'm doing. And then at that point, I'm going to completely downgrade Time Warner to their 100 by 5 and keep it as the backup.
Savage Pagan says 100 will be the fastest speed soon. With whom?
With AT&T.
Nah, I don't believe that on the gigabit.
No.
Unless it keeps deteriorating, then it will be.
That unless you what I think what it means is unless you have gigapower, the fastest one you could get as it is right now is going to be
No,
100.
he's talking about Speculum.
Oh yeah, Spectrum. I mean, they're trying to lower the speed. They're trying to go down.
Well, they don't have to try to. They can do whatever they want to.
Good, Mike.
He's suggesting they're going to go do it. Charles is asking, and Savage Pagan is saying yes. They're going to do away with 300 down and go with 100 down.
Yeah. I think I may have read it somewhere. I don't think you can get 300 down anymore if you order it now. But I
guess they've got some brain trust working on this, but I'm having trouble following them.
Yeah.
Steve?
Yes.
Weren't you saying something, or was it Mike?
No.
No, it wasn't me. Not me.
Interesting.
A blip.
Okay, sorry.
So that's my story about Time Warner. Speculum. Speculum.
Yes.
How do you spell speculum, Mike?
Speculum.
Okay. We're going to start using that name from now on.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
If you don't know what that is, look it up.
Oh, I thought it had something to do with speculating.
No.
Oh, okay, I'll look it up. Um, Storage. IBM and Sony have developed a new magnetic tape system capable of storing 201 gigabyte of data per square inch for a
Wow.
max theoretical capacity of 330 terabytes in a single palm-sized cartridge. You were saying, Steve?
I said wow, but I mean, who uses tape anymore? It's got to wind forward and backward. How boring.
Well, I mean, if it winds forward and backwards fast, that's okay.
Yeah, so I mean, generally, I suppose if you're backing up, it's just running as the tape is running. But if you
Right.
want to get to a certain point of the backup to restore it,
That's yeah.
that's going to be a problem.
Well, maybe and maybe not. I remember toward the end of when we were using those DAT tapes.
Mm.
They were only, I believe, 20 gig or 40 gig cartridges. It was years ago.
Yeah, I used to have a SCSI backup system,
Yeah.
and while it was writing the backup or reading the full backup, fine, because it's just going and it's doing it in all one long stream.
Right.
But if you had to like find a particular chunk,
It
it was
was
going wee, wee, and you'd be there. Oh, for goodness sake, just find it, will you?
well, you see, that's the thing
Infuriating.
is for us at Delta Force, I mean, the speed of finding something. I mean, yeah, it was important, but it wasn't that important because you tell it
No, 'cause-
to restore and you leave
yeah,
it alone. But
you generally do a full backup or a full restore. You don't pick out chunks.
before the DAT tape, we were using the older ones. I can't remember what they were. Like the 3.2 gig tapes, the ones that you would stick in a computer like a CD drive,
Yeah.
but they were tapes. And these would take everything would take forever. With the SCSI, the DAT tape, it was pretty fast. And with this, I'm sure that it's going to be faster than those because
Oh yeah, I imagine it will be.
it all depends how you arrange your index.
Yeah.
That's what takes time. And but can you imagine 330 terabytes?
It's quite scary, isn't it?
It
Talk
is
about
scary.
8 terabyte drive for your own storage for people at home, but
Yep.
that kind of storage for business, would you really trust it on one tape?
That's the thing. Well, I don't know who would need that much at the home. You know, that's not for home use anyway.
No.
But for business, I don't. I mean, unless I make 3 or 4 of them, I wouldn't. I really wouldn't trust it.
No, I wouldn't.
Um,
When you're talking about that level of storage capacity, you're talking about big businesses, life or death.
yeah, amazing. 330. Nine 518-9773. Computers 2K voice on Skype. Call in, guys.
I have a technical question.
Okay.
Friend of mine put in an Asus motherboard. Well, it's one he's been using, but it's a long story, but he wants Windows 7 and Windows 10 to dual boot. He has definitely had a fiasco trying to get it to work because when he boots into Windows 10, it takes over the C drive, which Windows 10 is on the D drive. Whenever he boots into Windows 7, it takes over the C drive, and now it won't boot either one. So he's got some confusion. He's using a boot manager to do it because I don't think it does it on its own. But he also says that Windows 10 has a built-in boot manager. Apparently, you can dual boot native out of Windows 10. Has anyone heard that?
I never used any dual booting system. Never configured one. So
I've got dual boot on the laptop, Windows 7 and Windows 10 on two different partitions. But there's a file called boot EFI, which is to do with the UEFI BIOS.
I don't think he's using UEFI.
Okay, if it's a relatively new machine, it probably has.
It's an old machine.
Okay.
So maybe without using EFI, he's running into some problems. Well, I told him, I said, you gotta work with the boot manager. It's controlling all that, and if you get something wrong there, the boot manager is not going to know what to do. But the real problem that he's running into is that his motherboard has 6 SATA ports on it. 4 of them work normally. The other 2 are listed for RAID or for AHCI. He cannot find a way to enable the ports when he boots into Windows. He cannot get those other 2 SATA ports to work. He found a link on the ASUS forum that says, one guy says, "Oh, I struggled with this and finally talked to ASUS, and they say the drivers have to be installed before you load the operating system." And another guy came along and said, "No, that's not true." He said, "All you have to do is go into Device Manager and tell it to update the drivers for those particular parts as long as they're enabled in the BIOS so that the operating system can see them." He has had 0 success doing that. Yeah.
I seem to remember something about ACHI or AHCI in the BIOS that you could enable or disable it to do with the hard drives.
Well, here's the question, though. What does he need to enable or disable to be able to use those SATA ports as standard SATA ports? He doesn't want to use them for AHCI, as far as I know.
Yeah, but there's one bigger problem is if you format the drive under AHCI and install the operating system, you cannot switch it back.
No, you can't. It's
Right.
one or the other.
Yeah, I get that. I think I do.
Yeah, Mike, there's a link in the chat in here to an article that might be interesting.
Yeah, we've done several searches on it, choosing an operating system. He asked me a question. I was really busy when he called last night. He asked me a question about how do you install a driver before you install the operating system.
I don't know how to unless they have their own
remember,
operating system.
When you're starting the operating system, there's press F6 to install drivers.
On XP.
Well, probably there on newer ones too, because if the motherboard, and moreover, it's an older motherboard, he's only got Windows 7 drivers. He wants to know if they work with Windows 10. I said, I don't have a clue.
No, no way of telling. He needs to search it. Yeah.
Well, he did search it, and I don't know what it is about a lot of these things on the internet, but you go to these fora, you start reading this thread, you get 14 posts in it, and not one soul has answered the darn question.
Yeah. Yeah, I find that too. They're all chipping in with their comments and the experiences they've had, but no one answers the question with an answer or a solution, I should say.
Yeah, USS Rover just put another answer maybe.
How to dual boot 7 and 10. Well, there you go. Now this is using their software, I imagine.
There is a program I think I used in the past, or at least I looked at possibly using, called Easy BCD.
Right.
Which is a boot enabler piece of software that allows you to dual boot and do wondrous things with booting. Easy BCD, it's called.
He gets a little frustrated with me because he has not convinced me that there's a reason to dual boot Windows 7 and Windows 10. Well, I don't trust Windows 10 yet. Then leave it alone.
Well, I've got a dual boot on my laptop because I thought, well, it's an ideal thing to have. If I go out to somebody and they've got Windows 10, fine, is Windows 10 on it, and vice versa. If it's Windows 7, I can show them on the laptop either way. But as time goes on, I'm thinking I'll just get rid of 7.
Yeah, well, I like 7. We have this radio station where we use Windows 10 for streaming computers. What a disaster. These automatic updates. We've tried postponing them, turning them off, and I mean, they just wear you out. Nick had at his own personal computer, he did this new Windows 10 update. I forget what the name of it is. It's a full service pack where it goes through all these security questions and crap again. And once he got done with it, none of his sound drivers worked. He spent all day getting those sound drivers put back to work.
Mm.
Andrew, hello.
Again, I don't know why.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Andrew.
Good gosh almighty, who is this?
How are you?
Where'd
It's
you get
me,
this
Andrew
voice?
Zarian.
I
alive.
recognize the voice. You're
How are you?
alive.
Yeah, I'm in prison, but I'm alive.
Oh, okay.
By prison, I mean 2 kids
Oh,
and a job.
Yeah, it'll do that to you.
Welcome
Yeah,
to
retirement was great, Mike, and now I'm like a normal person.
did you
Yep.
know you're whining?
I'm whining.
You're whining. Andrew, I don't want to
yes,
get too this. I don't want to get too deeply in it on this show. It is a family show, but call me after the show, and I'll tell you where those kids come from and how to avoid it.
You know what? You should have told me this 2 years ago.
I tried.
better late than never.
No, I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's been crazy busy here, so I've been listening almost every week. I just haven't had a time to sit down and call you guys.
So what happened this week that you now have time?
Taylor's sleeping and Hunter's sleeping, and I have to clean up my office and I have to do some work. So I stopped doing work and I stopped cleaning up my office and I called you guys.
Okay, well that's good. Well, welcome.
I saw you guys having a conversation about Windows 10 and the updates. Mike, you know how to fix that? You got to stop resisting. Just let them run your life.
Oh, absolutely.
but
There's
you
no question
can't.
about that.
But you can't do that.
I don't know if I called when I was having all these Mac issues. Did we ever go over that on the show?
No.
No. Okay. I don't know if you want me to go into this, Sam. Then I thought the audience would find it interesting.
Dude,
No,
go.
I mean, if it's technical, absolutely.
Yeah. So, you know, I don't know if you guys know this, but I got a consulting job a few months back with a business here in New York, and I was so good at my job, they offered me a full-time position.
Oh, well done.
So, half days a week, but it's still full-time for me. The hours are full-time. So I started going into the city every day, and they asked me, what kind of computer do you want? And I said, you know what? I want the brand new MacBook Pro. So they went and spent it was $28.99 for the laptop. So it's almost, with taxes, it came out to $3,000. Brand new MacBook Pro, 15-inch, 2016 model. I had it for 3 days. I plugged it into power, and the entire thing died. Just dead. So I go to Apple, and I was within 14 days of buying it, so they just handed me a new one, no questions asked. That one, within 2 months, no, month and a half, totally died. Just
You're
dead.
kidding.
Same exact way, just died. So I went to Apple, and I said, hey, you know, give me a new one. They said, we can't give you a new one because you're out of the 14-day, but we promise you we will have this fixed within 1 day. So I brought it to them. The next day they had it done. So that was actually very impressive how they were able to replace the logic board and everything within a day. So, okay, bring it home. Within 2 days, dies again. Kernel panics. Well, let me just say, before it died, I was having kernel panics every time the computer would go to sleep. So when the screen would dim and go to sleep, it would have a kernel panic. And I started looking at the reports, and it would say that it was a problem with the handoff between the GPUs. Because it has 2 GPUs. One is I think it's an AMD GPU, and then the other one is an Intel GPU. And when it needs to go into low power mode for any reason, it switches to the Intel one, and that's when the kernel panic happens. So I thought it was a software issue. It turns out it's not. It's a major problem with the logic board. The logic board just was malfunctioning, so they put a new one in. They put the new one in, same exact problems again on a brand new clean install. So I went in, and one of the GM was there that day, and he looked at me and said, I'm so sorry. He goes, I'm going to be honest with you. I have not seen many of these issues happen. I was reading about it because of your computer, and I contacted someone at Apple, and they told me that this is a known issue with the 2016 model. There is a problem with the GPU part of the logic board to do the handoff between the Intel card and the AMD card. This is why they put out the 2017 model so quickly with revamps. He just handed me a brand new 2017 model.
Oh, that's good.
How long
And this
ago?
one's been perfectly fine.
How long?
A month ago.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it's been fine, over the last month. But I thought the audience would find it interesting that they had a severe problem with these 2016 models, and that's why they replaced them so quickly.
Well, this is what we were talking about last week. That's what you call service, and that's why you pay such big bucks.
I'm going to tell you something. We can make all the jokes we want about Apple, but I don't know if Best Buy would have reacted the same way.
No, I doubt it very much.
They couldn't afford to. They didn't make the money on it that Apple did. They'd have to defer that back to Apple. You're paying for that.
Well, no, but forget about Apple, right? Let's say HP. Let's say I went and bought the top of the line HP from Best Buy.
Well, HP. No, not Best Buy, and not even Apple. What I'm talking about is if you bought it direct from Dell, I would expect that sort of reaction, but not through a retailer. But be realistic, though, Andrew. You could have bought that equivalent computer for $1,400, so you could have bought the new model and thrown the old one in the trash can for what you paid for the Apple. By the way, we're not dogging on Apple. I don't know if you know it, but Amnon is now an Apple convert.
I didn't know this. When did this happen?
He's an Apple fanboy.
Yeah, I am a fan of their support, Andrew.
Yeah, the support is wonderful. They have great support. I am a fan of their hardware too. I just don't like this new version of the MacBook Pro. But here's the thing, Amnon. That's funny you say that because you're buying Apple, and I only use this computer now, the Mac, at work. I no longer use it as my day-to-day laptop. My day-to-day laptop is an HP.
Why?
Yeah, I mean.
So I met with the VP of HP at Rattle and Hum in the city. And we were talking about, why I use a Mac and was I always a Mac user? So I had this whole discussion with him. And he said, you know what? I would really like you to use what I consider to be the best laptop that we make. If I sent it to you and you used it, would you give me your honest answers, if you like it or not? And I said, sure. And I started using an HP EliteBook, top of the line EliteBook. He sent it to me. And I have to tell you, this is my day-to-day computer now. I absolutely love it.
And why do you like it better than the Mac?
The keyboard is the best keyboard I've ever used on a laptop.
Wow.
That is the only reason why.
Just the keyboard?
Yeah, that's enough for me because it's so. I've never used a keyboard on a laptop, especially on the PC side, that is this good. Everything else you could get anywhere else. I like that it's a convertible. I like that it's a touch screen. It's a i7. It's everything is top of the line. The only thing is it's a enterprise laptop, so it doesn't have 4K display, but that's fine. It has, I use that, and the other thing I use it for, Mike, which is interesting, it has a privacy screen, but it's built into the screen, so you just press a button and it masks everything around, so people can't see. And it also has a privacy microphone.
Well, that's
which
really
is interesting.
Important.
Well, the privacy screen is for me because I do a lot of work on the train.
Right.
But the keyboard itself is the only reason why I'm using this.
Right. Are you talking on it now?
I'm on the Mac right now.
Right.
Yeah, you can tell the Mac is they've got very good mics. I can't imagine the HP is going to be a patch on the Apple.
No, it's not the camera. You know what's funny? That actually the webcam on this thing is not bad. The mic is okay, but I do like that it doesn't pick up anything around you. So if I'm using it and it's a busy area, you pretty much only hear me, which is fine. It's not the best quality, but it's okay.
But you say it's got a privacy mic function. How does that work then? It doesn't pick up from around. It only picks up directional.
Yeah. It's one direction that it's picking up.
Okay, all right.
So instead of going, so it's not bad. I thought, it's a decent laptop. It's just expensive. It's just very expensive. And I don't know if it's realistic. If you're going to spend $2,400 on a laptop, are you going to go buy this HP?
Probably not. I don't buy HP computers anymore. A good friend of mine.
I didn't for a while, Mike. I didn't.
Okay, but if we're going to give accolades to Apple for their customer support, let's be consistent and fairly evaluate all the other companies. Now, whether it's changed, I don't know. It sounds like you are the beneficiary of them having somewhat of an epiphany that they have a customer service issue, because several years ago, a friend of mine bought a top of the line HP laptop, and about a month after the warranty ran out, he sends it back to about a month, sends it back to them because of video problems, and they tell him that the video chip has heated up and come unsoldered from the board.
Wow.
Yeah, the only way they can fix it is put a new motherboard in it. He paid them $675 to put a new motherboard in it. 13 months
this is
later.
HP.
Yes, 13 months later, it did it again.
That's a dud.
They told him sorry, can't help you. So.
Yeah, that's terrible.
That is.
And particularly if you look on the internet, you'll find out that it's a common problem with the HP computers. The other problem I've got about 4 HP EliteBook Mac laptops. And of course, we like to tear these things open and go into them for various reasons, some legitimate, some not so legitimate. And the problem that they have on this case is that even the technicians complain about how you have to take things apart to get into them. They have some hidden C-springs that you have to have a special tool to be able to get the armrest off of, the palm rest off of, and little nonsensical things like that. I'm just better served not messing with them.
You know what's amazing? All the Macs now, let's say you have a keyboard issue, let's say your keyboard stops working, they have to replace the entire top assembly.
Well, that's not surprising considering how integrated you are now. Let me tell you where Apple is the world leader without question, and that is packaging of their products. I mean, when you look at the technology that they've stuffed into this paper-thin iPhone, it's incredible. I mean, it's unbelievable how much they've gotten into that. They and Foxconn are the masters at packaging it. I mean, they always have been. Now, granted, they have to put old technology in them to make it work, but sometimes you just can't have it both ways.
No, that's absolutely right. You know, I've been using an Android phone for years now, almost 10 years, 9 years. And I just recently, you know, my job gave me a brand new iPhone. I went over to the iPhone, and it's night and day. You know, no matter how much I love Android, the iPhone, as Mike Phillips would say, just works. And that's it. That's fine.
That's what I use. I use an iPhone, and I think it's the best one out there because there are some quirky things with Android that I just don't like. Now, there are quirky things with iPhone, but at least with iPhone, you got some little person somewhere defending them doing it. Like, for example, I was showing Nick last night that on my iPhone, I'm on a call, particularly if I'm on a long call, we get ready to hang up. I take the phone down and look at it, and the hang up button is gone. And there's actually a little bar at the top. You have to tap it. When you tap it, then the screen pops back up with the hang up button. Now, what kind of idiot decided that made any sense at all that you're going to screen blank on the hang up button?
Well, it saves battery power, I suppose, if you're on a long call. That minuscule amount of battery power, it makes a big difference.
Well, if they would turn off the transmit and receive, you'd save even more.
Yeah.
I agree with what somebody said. I want an app for my iPhone that turns it into a communications device.
Talking also about iPhones, I don't think it has to do just with the iPhone, but we have a family plan with Verizon, and it's 3 gig, and we normally use only about 2 gig. Two or less.
That's amazing.
Why?
Last month on my iPhone, I used 18 gigs.
Well, yeah, but if you travel a lot and you don't have Wi-Fi, yeah, I can see that. But here, it's all being used when you're around Wi-Fi, and we don't watch. Now, Hannah watches. She's the one that my daughter. She uses the most. But it's okay. Now, yesterday, no, Friday, she came over. We were going to change a rear shock on her BMW. And it's a shock, it's not a strut. So she said, Dad, you think we can do it? I said, yeah. She said, I'd like to see how. I'd like to try it. I said, okay. So there was a nice video on YouTube that showed step by step. So she sat here at the office and she watched it. And she said, okay, let's go. I mean, I think I'm ready to tackle this. I said, yeah, me too. So we went, and then there was something that didn't look exactly right. She said, wait a second, let me see how he did that. So she took out her phone and got on YouTube and brought up that video. And she said, oh, this is how it's done. Okay, stop. So we do this. Then she wanted to see something else. And she clicked the play again, and it wouldn't play. And she said, oh, the Wi-Fi doesn't reach here. Let me do away with the Wi-Fi. And she went on 4G. And I'll bet you, I mean, unless something really went wrong in stopping and starting, because it was just like snippets here and there, that maybe we watched, I don't know, half an hour altogether. Went back to the office after we were done, and I'm checking my mail because it's been some time since I checked it, and I see 2 emails from Verizon. One says you have 50% data left, and an hour later, 25% data left. And I'm saying, what's going on? You know. So I asked Kathy if her phone was on Wi-Fi. I looked at my phone. Everything is on Wi-Fi. And I asked Hannah, and she said, I had to put mine on 4G, but I mean, Dad, you know we didn't watch much. I called Verizon, and there was no arguing with them. No, you used it this morning. How could you use, and again, it's not, I'm not familiar with it, I have no experience, but how could you use a gig? It was started with 1.4 something and ended with the 25%. It ended at you have used 2.4 something. So it's a gig. It's about a gig. How can you use a gig in such a short time, especially when you watch it on a phone from YouTube, which transcodes and does it in lower resolution?
But it's not lower resolution, Amnon. It's HD.
So why is it at 144?
Because you probably you played the video, and the video was in HD, and it was probably a gig video, and you watched 700 megs of that gig video.
No, we didn't. But we didn't, because it was just like bits, and the whole video is 10 minutes.
But it caches it. Remember, it's caching the video.
Well, that's the thing is, so you stop. So the stop button to stop the video doesn't mean anything as far as data usage.
No. It's still downloading. All you're doing is stopping the play, but it's still downloading the video.
It was. I mean, back and forth, and I said, okay, so what do we do now? She said, I'm looking at your usage in the past, and you haven't gone through that. She said, we do have unlimited. I said, I know, but there are other companies that have unlimited for free. You charge a bunch. She said, yeah. She said, oh, you can go to the 4 gig. You add 1 gig, and it's $5 a month more. And you also have some kind of protection with that after you go, there's no overcharges. You go over 4 gig, it throttles it back. So you're going to be slower, but you can still do what you need to do on the net. And I said, go ahead and do that, because I knew we're going to go over this month, and then they charge you a lot more. So it was just amazing to me that, yeah, now I see, you were saying I used 18 gig. You're watching stuff, you're doing stuff on your phone, not on Wi-Fi. Everything I did was always on Wi-Fi.
It's porn for Andrew.
And
Pornography. Well, technically with this job, yes, it mostly
so
is.
it was just amazing that within an hour you can go, almost half of your data is gone in less than an hour. So I see. So the transcoding, I mean, even if the video is HD, let's say 720, and you're watching it on the phone and it brings it down to 144, you're still downloading that whole file.
Yeah, you still pretty much, yeah, you're still downloading the whole file.
So
What they actually do is you download like a quarter of the file, and when you reach that point, it'll start downloading again. But what you did, you probably skipped around, so it did actually download that entire file.
Yeah, but
so, example, so if I put up a YouTube video and I'm on the train, I pull up a YouTube video.
Yeah.
It'll download, let's say, a quarter of the video first. And as it gets closer to that point of that the download is finished, it'll start downloading again the other quarter.
But my point there was, you remember in the early days we had like some streaming channels that we were keeping it low resolution for people on mobile devices so they will not use all their data. That means that doesn't work.
Yeah, that doesn't exist anymore. Everybody's on unlimited now.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
they don't
I don't
care.
know that
They want you to use unlimited data.
Yeah, they want $30.
Yeah, $30.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. I mean,
especially
especially
it's only ridiculous if you don't need to use unlimited data. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
If you go over, think about you going over every month, and think about how many people go over every month.
No, I agree.
You have 4 gigs, and there are people that walk around and they have, $20, $30, $40 in charges to their account.
Yeah.
And they don't even know it. They just pay it.
Yeah, well, that's what I was telling the rep at Verizon. I said, or I can go with another company that gives me unlimited, like T-Mobile, like this. He said, no, we can help you. And it's amazing that a year ago, up till a year ago, I had unlimited like everybody else on Verizon. Verizon was unlimited. And then they did away with that, or they would charge you $20 extra back then. And when we found out that we don't use that much, we realized we can take our monthly, the whole bill, from $218. If we get a new plan with them with 3 gig, it went down to $110. And I said, now for $20, you just lost $100 a month. Does that make sense to you? Say, well, in your case, you won. And then a few months later, they come and say, oh, yeah, you want unlimited? It's going to cost you that much. And then it was just, it was ridiculous. But I guess that's the way it is.
So who won?
Well, in this case, they got $5 more.
They got you off unlimited.
No, I did not get unlimited. There's no reason.
They got you off unlimited.
Oh, I won.
Yeah, well, we'll see long term. They didn't offer it to you for your benefit.
Back then, they did not. What it was is they say if you want to stay on the unlimited plan, it's going to cost you $20 more. They were doing away. They were phasing out, but we were grandfathered. So it was 200, I think it was 218. I can't remember. So it was going to be 238 if I wanted to stay with unlimited. And
I've got 5 phones on my plan, and we're paying, I think, $150.
Yeah, well, you see, that's why, because we didn't change anything in years on 3 phones. And that's why he said, okay, I said, I need to go to another company. And he said, let me look. I was at the store, and he went and he said, you don't use that much. And it was less than 2 gig. And he said, 3 gigs will be enough for you. And I said, okay. And it was fine until Friday. It was.
Right. Yep. It's really fine until you start using it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what they're bargaining on, isn't it? That you just pay pay the same amount every month and don't
E-
keep checking and don't look around to see
Exactly.
where you can get it cheaper. You
Exactly.
just pay it because it's a monthly bill that you pay, and
Yep.
that's what they're bargaining on.
Yep. And they got it out of me for a few years.
Yep.
Yep.
You could change virtually every other month and save.
Yeah, you can.
If you've got the suppliers of supplier available.
Yeah.
That's what people do over here in England, because there's so many different suppliers providing whatever it is
Oh,
they provide so similar. You could every other month you could change and get yourself a better plan at a cheaper price.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, as long as you keep the same number, then you can do it back and forth.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
if your number's important for business or whatever, then. But now it's been legislated that you are allowed to swap your number from provider to provider, and they've got to do it in a reasonable amount of time, and give you your leaving code and all the rest of it with
Mhm.
no hassle like they used to. They used to make it really difficult and just be a complete pain in the butt. But now it's the government stepped in and said, no, you've got to make it easier. It's great. You can do it every other month if you want.
Yeah. And what Tim is saying, T-Mobile. I mean, I stayed with Verizon because of the coverage. But when you think about it, I don't go anywhere outside the local area. So what do I care if I can get access in New Mexico and I'm thinking, maybe you should switch. And it's becoming more and more appetizing to think about switching. Gosh, Mike, I've been with Verizon when they were still Cellular One or something. I can't remember. I mean, it's since the early '90s.
So cellular one became the AT and ultimately AT&T.
No, that's
Yes.
Verizon.
I don't think so.
I was Cellular One and now I'm Verizon. I never switched.
Well, I was cellular one and I'd never been on Verizon.
No.
And a friend of mine
Yeah,
just
Singular.
dumped T-Mobile.
Singular was AT&T.
Singular, yeah.
Yeah.
Singular, you're right, but before Singular.
Before Singular, it was Metro PCS or something like that. Because I was
for me, it wasn't.
Huh?
Not for me, it wasn't.
No, AT&T's.
Who was Cellular
system.
One? Who did Cellular One become? It
Uh,
wasn't Altel either.
It's Verizon. Altel. I don't remember Altel.
Cellular One. I probably still got some of the bills around here somewhere.
Yeah. So the only time that I switched was to the AT&T, or back then Bell South, digital phone, that when it came out, because I was a dealer for them and they gave me free phones. And I don't know, but it's been years. Let's put it this way. Years and years and years and years.
I just came in. It for the cellular one thing. I just heard you say it. I know that they split the company, so some accounts became AT&T, some accounts became Verizon, depending on where you were.
I think there was another from Cellular One. It became something else, and then it became Verizon. I can't remember the name in
Altel?
between. The Altel name doesn't ring a bell. I mean, I remember the name, but I don't think I dealt with them. I don't know. I always thought that it was just straight shot throughout the years from one to the other till it became Verizon. But it was with the same company. So it's kind of hard to switch. It's I don't know. I always preach don't marry the company, and here I am actually doing it. So, anyway. Let's see what else we have here. Now with new Intel processors, everybody has to watch out. Intel upcoming Coffee Lake CPUs won't work with existing 200 series motherboards that support Kaby Lake. Now, Kaby Lake is the latest thing, right? So they're current, but the new ones will not work with them. A manufacturer confirmed on Wednesday. In a Twitter post by ASRock last Saturday, the company confirmed the news when asked if the Z270 super carrier will get support for the upcoming Intel Coffee Lake CPUs. The response, no. Coffee Lake CPU is not compatible with the 200 series motherboard. I don't see a problem with that from their point of view, because this is the same as all the Windows 95, 98 and all that, and going to Windows 10. You have to leave the past behind, sort of. And if you're coming up with a new processor, you need to have a motherboard that is built around it, not something that the processor will support older technology, even though the technology is current. The only good thing about it is if you just bought a computer and it's got the Kaby Lake in it, chances are you're not going to switch to the newer processor anytime soon. So you, in a way, you're safe. But we are so used to buying a computer and being able to upgrade the processor and upgrade the processor. Here it is. Okay, we cut it off. And I in a way, I admire them for doing it. That means that you're going to give me the good performance, because the newer motherboards are going to be designed around the CPU and not vice versa. What do you guys think?
I think they've been doing this for a while. This is a normal thing that they do. New processor comes out, different architecture, and you need a new motherboard to go accompany that new one. It's been like that for a long time.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I've changed.
I mean, every time, I'll give you an example. You know, I updated my production machine here twice in 2 years, and every time I went to a different thing, regardless if it was Kaby Lake or Sky Lake or Cherry, whatever the trail, whatever the previous one was, you had to change them every time.
Well, I mean, we do it because of what we do, Andrew. But your average user that just want to get more speed, I updated many computers to a newer.
But see, Amnon, that's the thing, right? People aren't swapping motherboard used for speed anymore. That's not a thing that people do. So let's say you bought you've had a computer for 3 years and now you need more speed. And you're thinking, okay, well, maybe I should change the CPU. No, it doesn't work like that anymore because the CPUs are all fast anyway.
Right. Yeah, I agree. You don't, not within 2 or 3 years. I agree.
Okay,
after
so
3
if
years,
it's 5 years, you know what you're going to do? You're going to say, well, all of this architecture is old, so I'm going to do the video card and the motherboard, the CPU, and the RAM.
Right.
Agreed.
My point here is you buying a current machine with the Kaby Lake, which is how old?
6 months, 8 months.
And it's already, they're telling you that the upcoming Coffee Lake is not going to fit in it. Now we're talking within months, not years. Yeah, after 3 years, hell, go ahead and change, because the memory is probably not going to be the right one for the new one. And anyway.
But if you want more speed, right? Let's say you want more speed, you could just get a higher speed Kaby Lake chip. You can still buy a Kaby Lake.
Yeah, true.
Look, they go from this. So Kaby Lake i7s go from 2.9 gigahertz to 4.3 gigahertz.
Right.
So let's say you bought a 2.9. You say, well, this isn't fast enough for me.
Yeah, you can get the.
And you want to upgrade to a 3.6. You could do that.
Yeah.
But this is an interesting question.
You're going to update.
Because last week I was working on some computers trying to clean up some stuff. And I just happened to pay attention to that. I actually have two i7s sitting here, the one I'm on and one sitting over here on my audio desk. I was looking at the information on the one that I'm on, and there's stuff in here dated 2012. Now, this means this computer is 5 years old.
No, not necessarily, Mike. There's a lot of programs that have older files in them.
I'm talking the hardware. I'm not. This computer was released in 2012.
Oh, I thought you said you saw
I bought
files.
it in 2013.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
This computer is over 4 years old. Now, it's a Windows i7. I don't remember which. It's a K, 2600K or whatever it is. I forget the numbers. With 16 gig of RAM and an SSD. If I go out and spend money buying a brand new computer, how much faster am I going to be?
Well, what are you looking to get faster, right?
Everything. I mean, that's the whole point. Word processing, no difference. Surfing the internet, no difference. I'm not doing any video, that could matter. I'm not doing any graphics editing, that could matter. I'm not doing any Photoshop rendering, that could matter. I see no reason to go out and update the system.
Absolutely right.
So let's talk about the laptop, right? So here's an example. I have a 2015. Oh yeah, laptops are different, but let's talk about upgrading, right? Like I have a 2015 MacBook Pro i7 13-inch. Now I have a 2017 15-inch MacBook Pro that's a quad core. I feel the day-to-day difference with me using this computer because I went from, it's an i7, but it's a dual core i7 compared to a quad core i7. That you see the difference.
Yes.
But the reality is, if you're just using if you're doing web browsing and you're watching a couple videos and you're answering emails, that computer from 2012 should be good for about 7 years for you.
Well, I don't see, I mean, my office computer is an i7 quad core, less than a year old, SSD, the whole 9 yards. It's not, I don't see any difference in speed between the two with doing what I do.
For office use, for office use, I don't see any reason to go to a newer computer anyway.
And Savage Pagan is right. PC gaming, yes. If you're a gamer,
absolutely.
When you're actually monitoring frame rate and that sort of thing, it's critical. But even then, isn't the issue now really more the video card than it is the CPU? I don't know.
Mike, I had a viewer for What the Tech in the chat room tell me he just this week went from Windows 2000 to Windows 7.
Well, he's an idiot.
Windows 2000 for stability reasons.
Yeah, he's an idiot.
I have no idea why. And we were asking him, why? And he gave all these reasons why he's using Windows 2000 and not even XP, Windows 2000 for stability reasons. And he's never needed to upgrade and he's not missing out on anything. And it works perfectly fine. And his video, and I have no idea how he's watching me.
Is he on the internet with it?
Yes.
He's crazy because even XP now is a magnet for hackers over the internet, even behind a router.
Yeah. And he does not want to update. And I asked him what kind of computer he's using. A dual core Intel.
Well,
so probably those.
Okay, but here's a good point though. The Windows 2000 on a dual core machine is probably pretty snappy.
I wonder if it's a dual core or did he say Pentium 2?
Oh no, I'm sorry. He said he's using a Pentium 4. Sorry, Pentium 4.
Oh. Well.
He's using a Pentium 4 with Windows 2000, and he just put Windows 7 on a dual core.
Well, I mean, hey,
he's using a 17-year-old operating system.
PC is personal computer. If he wants to do it, I'm all for it. And there's Nick.
Hey, good morning. Morning, Nick. No, he's not in here yet.
He must have sent somebody type PC gaming.
Yeah. So, I mean, as far as Windows 2000, I'll tell you who actually is using them in numbers. Mike? Doctors, attorneys,
Radio stations.
radio sta- but they're not, the people that I know that use 2000 don't use them on the internet. And it's because they have proprietary software that will cost them thousands of dollars to upgrade if they wanted to be on the internet with it, and it works, it serves their purpose to keep it on 2000 and use it internally. So these are the people that I know, and I can't argue that. If it does
right.
the job for you and you're making money with it and you are not getting on the net with it, well.
Here's my argument in support of what you're saying. Let's assume that you're in, make up something. That's not a good example. Let's just assume you're in some business where you have point of sale terminals for your business. These point of sale terminals use an embedded version of Windows XP.
Yeah.
That the XP is not. Well, let's take a better example. Let's suppose that you have a TriCaster, which has embedded in it Windows XP.
Mm-hmm.
You have that TriCaster, you're using it at your school or nonprofit organization. You use it every week, and it does exactly what you want it to do.
Mm-hmm.
Why should you go trade in that TriCaster and get a new one because the old one has XP?
You shouldn't.
You shouldn't. If the operating system is doing what you want it to do,
right,
and you're accurate in your assessment, then whose business is it? Do what you want to do.
Right, and it is safe because you're not on the net. Absolutely.
Dr. John says, aren't most ATMs on XP? Well, I've heard that. I don't know how true it is. There's
no,
so
it's true. It is true, but there is something different about them. They actually paid Microsoft to keep updating it and keep it secured. Yeah, they're getting special treatment from Microsoft to continue using them.
And on top of that, the banks themselves are assuming the risk of using those.
Yeah.
That risk is not being passed along to the consumer, and probably not to Microsoft either. I had an XP machine hacked. I had a Windows 7, Windows 10 XP machine. The XP machine got hacked. And the old house, and I'm behind a router. So it was the Russians.
Yeah, of course. Who else? So under Trump orders too.
Yep.
Yep.
Trump hacked into my machine himself.
Yep. So is Nick here?
Nah, he's listening. He's probably not awake.
No, I'm here. Don't worry.
There he is.
Just in time.
What's going on?
So what time did you get home last night?
Boys are back in town.
About 12:30.
Well, that's not
Wow.
bad.
Where'd you go?
I was in Raleigh.
Did you go out drinking?
No.
Oh, okay. Is this your apartment?
Yes.
Oh, look at that. Young Nicholas grew up.
And this is how Andrew's disconnected.
I'm so proud of you. He's such a big boy now.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
He was meeting with high-level Russian operatives yesterday.
Possibility.
You mean Russian girls?
Mm-mm.
Mm.
Actually, yes, wasn't it?
What?
Actually, it was Russian girls, wasn't it?
No, it was not.
Russian spy agent.
It could have been.
Did you? Oh no, you probably didn't have a chance to put the hardware in, did you?
I did not.
Yeah.
What hardware?
Good. So he got a modem and a router for the Roku and stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna be. It's gonna be interesting.
I had a weird. Go ahead, Nick.
I was gonna say. So I'm currently using one of the new Spectrum DOCSIS 3 modems, which are significantly different than the old ones. And I've actually been using it, and I haven't had a problem with it yet. But I'm gonna do probably do 10 or 20 speed tests on a couple different websites, And then Amnon
Nick, what brand is that modem?
Amnon is loaning me a what is it, Amnon? A 6141?
Yeah.
The surfboard, and I'll be curious to see if it's any better on that.
No, you're not going to see better. It's not.
Well, that's not necessarily true. When I first got my surfboard up in Albany, my download speed improved by almost 15 megabytes.
Oh, well, I don't know. We'll see then. Yeah.
So it'll be curious. I'm definitely not having any stability problems. I mean, I've been using it for a week.
Andrew
now.
asked you what brand is the one they gave you?
It's a UB. So it's the crap brand, but it looks like it's a much nicer one than they used to give out.
Well, as long as she works, and she does seem to be working.
Dr. John's asking an interesting question in chat. He asked me if I'm still happy with Voipo. And the answer to that question is yes. I've got about 6 phone numbers with them. He says they keep offering him a discounted renewal, and it's making him nervous.
Yeah, the 50%.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
discounted
it is.
from what?
Discounted from, I mean, it's 50 for 2 years. 50% of what you would pay if you pay now for 2 years.
Right,
I did
but
it one time.
Discounted from how much to how much? 'Cause I'm
Oh,
paying
I don't
this
know
and you
what's
guys.
the regular price. It comes down to $140 some for 2 years.
Right. That's not it, and that's the discounted, or they're not
No,
discounted.
that's the discounted.
All right. So to me, that's a marketing ploy because it's not
Oh.
worth $300 for 2 years.
No, it's for 2 years. Oh, no.
I mean,
If you don't get the discount, yeah, it's $300 for 2 years.
so this 50%
For more.
discount to me is trying to get commitment more than it's trying
Oh,
to.
absolutely.
I mean, it's not to me. I'm paying significantly less than that for all of my lines.
Well, see, they're pulling the Michael Lindell My Pillow thing, where the thing is, it's 100%. It's always on discount. It's always 50% off. It's always a special, which we can get in trouble for that, Mike, if I'm not incorrect.
Well, and I don't think so. I mean, it's called fluffing. It's not really a big deal. Yeah, marking it up. Now, who knows whether they're hurting for cash. I communicate with the guy who owns the company, and to my knowledge, I haven't seen any indication that they're in any trouble at all. The responsiveness is there. You call the number, you get an answer. You file a ticket, you get a response to your ticket. You want them to fix a problem, they fix a problem. I have certainly been referring people to them. I have quite a few people I've referred to them. I have no hesitation at this point in time referring to them. But at the same time, like I do, that these online companies, they can hide behind anything they want to. They could be living on credit cards for all I know. But I'm very happy with the service. And again, I have no hesitation with them. If they were to go belly up, then I would assume you could get your number back from them. None of my numbers, I mean, even my numbers that I have there, I don't know how that would work. That'd be an interesting question. I wonder what would happen if a company goes belly up. How would you get it from them?
They don't technically own the number, right?
But they have to release it, I believe.
They poured it into their system, so they are the
custodian of the number.
Yeah, it's
I
like
would imagine if they went belly up, somebody like AT&T, somebody with enough buying power would be able to take over that number, I would assume.
Well, I got to tell you, you know what? If I lost every phone number I had, it wouldn't make a bit of difference to me. It'd be a pain in the butt, but I wouldn't worry about it. I'm just not going to live my life worried about those kinds of things. It might even be better to not have so many people calling all the time.
I'm having some problems with them. Technical.
Voipo?
Voipo. One.
Have you opened a ticket?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Everything is working okay now, but like last week, the beginning of last week or 2 weeks ago, and it happens every now and then, I get somebody who would call and say, I just called you and it said your number has been disconnected. I'll say no. And I'll go and I'll look, and they call me on the cell phone. I go and look at the Voipo box, and sure enough, the lines, the two lines light two lights for the lines are down. So I'll reboot the machine. I'll reboot the box, and it doesn't come back. I'll call them. They'll go in, and they say, "Okay, we fixed it." I said, "So what was it?" "I don't know. We just had to reboot it from here." Okay. Last week, it was like almost 2 days, to the point that I put my cell phone on the website page, which I don't normally do, so people could call me, because it got to the point where what happens is, if you call you get two lines with them, but they are the same number. So when you call the 852-2121, it rings Voipo. If I'm on the phone, or if I'm not answering, it forwards to my cell phone. So when they were down this time, it wouldn't even forward. It's like something went really bad. So I went and looked again and none of them is telling you we're having a problem. But you go on the net and you start searching, and there's that down detector for this or that, and a lot of people complaining, we're down. So when are you going to be up? I said, okay, so it's their problem. So I went and I put the number there. It's the other bigger problem that I have. Uzi has Voipo also, and some of the other people that I know. And many times when Voipo calls Voipo, it's dead. It's like nothing happens. It's dead quiet. And sometimes when he calls me and I answer, and then we hang up, the phone goes ring, 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 ring. You pick up, there's nobody there, but there's no dial tone. You hang it up again. Ring, ring, ring. It just keeps on doing it unless you pick up the phone and you keep it off hook for about a minute, and then you hang up, and then everything is okay. It's so annoying, but I mean,
Yeah.
I have that problem with Google Voice too, though. It's just
I was getting ready to say I just had a friend of mine convert over to Voipo and his business account up in the western part of the state.
Mm-hmm.
And what I told him, I said, look, this service is not going to be the same as copper wireline service. It's got bugs, it's got glitches, it's a pain in the butt sometimes. But I will tell you that the inconveniences that you're going to suffer will many, many, many times over justify the cost, will be justified by the cost savings.
Absolutely correct.
Of course.
Yep. I mean, it's annoying. It's a nuisance every now and then, but
well, let me tell
for
you
the most part, it works great.
We put our radio station, we put in a Voipo line for the listener line, the call-in line.
Uh-huh.
And the first week that it was in, people would call in to talk to the show host, and that same thing could happen. It would say that this number has been disconnected.
Yeah.
And we did some research, and I did some research and found out that with Blink, for example, when you start Blink, it will, if it's already running, it'll start another instance. There's no way to stop it from having more than one instance open that I was able to find. If Blink is open twice, then the Voipo service or any VoIP service gets confused. So you should only have one instance. So we did some troubleshooting, made sure Blink was only open, and still we would have some really strange things happening, like dial, and then it would disconnect. I removed Blink and installed Bria, BRIA, which is a program that's put out by counterpath.com. Counterpath also put out the SIP client that Steve liked, called X-Lite, that he was using at TalkShoe. And we put Bria in there, and to my knowledge, Nick, we haven't had another problem.
I think it's counterpath.net, isn't it?
It used to be, but they got .com.
Oh, okay.
Nick, you were saying?
I said, no, I don't see a problem.
Are we using Blink in Raleigh?
Yes, but it's very, very, very rarely used. It's been used maybe once or twice.
That's true. We're using Skype in Raleigh.
Skype in Raleigh.
Yeah.
I use Blink here, and I've had problems with it. I'm not a big fan of Blink.
Me either.
Of course, a lot of people today have cell phones and everything, but the nice thing about it is, like I said, you get two lines. They are the same number, but there are two independent lines, so to speak. So if you have a home phone and a kid's phone, they can pick up and talk and call out, and you can do the same thing at the same time or receive calls. So it works just like two phones, but with two lines, but with one phone number. If you have kids and not everybody has cell phones, this is a nice solution. Or even if you have a business for you and your wife and you're both working at home, two lines. It's two independent lines. And I don't know any other VoIP provider that does that. It would.
They all do here. I'm not.
Oh.
In the UK, they all give you two lines.
No, I don't.
Because they're not really lines; they're extensions.
Yeah, but I mean,
they're channels. They're channels down the link. Because if you've got a business account, they can put 5, 6 down. They can put multiple down. But the residential are usually two channels.
Well, let's go back to what Nick and I were talking about yesterday with what we have in the Wilmington office. Nick, we bought some VoIP phones. So Nick configured the VoIP phone down in Wilmington. Now to be part of the key telephone system, we have a VoIP phone set plugged into the internet in Wilmington. When he wants to call the Raleigh office, he picks up the phone and dials a local extension number. Because we have an online PBX system, and that's with Voipo as well, and it's $20 a month.
Yeah, and that works really well. I've been very happy with that service. I do notice sometimes, though, right when you start, you dial in. This is for outgoing calls, like to a phone, you dial the number, and the first couple of rings sound a little distorted. It sounds like it's like network buffering or something, and then the whole phone conversation is fine. Don't know if that's the service, the phone I'm using, or the internet connection that phone is connected to. But it's not a problem. It's just right. It's maybe the first rings, it kind of breaks up like you have a bad internet connection.
Interesting. Is that a VoIP?
Hey guys, I have to run.
All right, Andrew. Thanks, man.
See you, Andrew.
Have a
Say
good
hello,
one.
and I want to tell Nick he's a good boy. I'm so proud of him.
Oh, thank you, Andrew. Thank you
Daddy
so much.
proud. I'll see you.
Bye.
Take care. Do you think that's a VoIP thing, or you think that's the
I think
Cisco
what he's
thing?
getting, what you're getting, I forget what this, Jorvik will probably know, but when you dial something, the phone system sends you audible signals. Let's back up even further than that. Back in the old days, whenever I dial Amnon's number. When it starts ringing, that ring actually corresponded with the bell ding-a-linging on Amnon's side. I was actually hearing the ring voltage on Amnon's phone. As the systems became electronic, I would also hear ringing, but the ringing had no relationship to his phone. The PBX knew that his phone was ringing, and it would send me back an audible sound, a signal to let me know that his phone was ringing. Do you remember what that's called? It's not called, is it ringback?
Yeah, in the old system, the ring tone and the ringing was in the far device, in the final, what was called the final selector. So it's all from the same equipment. So you're quite right. As it was ringing the phone, a tone would be coming back from that same equipment to you from the far end. With VoIP, you actually set the call up through a center, and then it hands it over when you actually connect. It goes point to point when you connect, IP to IP, but the setup is done through the actual voice control. That's where all the tones come from. So the tones don't come from the far end anymore.
Right. So this tone that Nick is hearing is really a locally, I say local in the PBX. It's locally at the VoIP server generated just to let you know that something's happening. And
But
when
yeah,
it switches over to the other tone, it's actually a handover to a different system.
exactly.
Okay.
Well, that's the thing to note. It's not a tone. It's the regular ringing of the phone. It's just
Yeah.
it just breaks up like a bad, like you
it's
have a bad
something they
internet.
made up about 25, 30, actually, God, time's flying, 35, 40 years ago, as telephones came of age. And I don't know if this happened over in Europe, Jorvik, but over in the United States, about, I guess, gosh, now sometime in the late 60s, because the telephone technology was advancing so much and the ability to improve the quality of their system, that AT&T's phone to phone connection, they became so quiet that people didn't think that their connection was working. And for a period of time, they actually installed noise generators on their PBXs to put hiss in the phone line to let people know that the phone was working.
That's right. Yeah, there was quite a big change. I was actually running a public telephone exchange for 10 years during the transition from analog to data. So I was actually there. It was handing over from analog Strider equipment, which was the old way, that America had as well, into the modern data stuff, TXC, TXK, crossbar, and electronic. And you're quite right. As the technology improved, so did the sound quality. And you're quite right. You didn't have the background noise of course set up at all. It was just pure. Well, it is as good as audio as you can get
At 3K.
at 3K.
Alan's talking about a party line. Gosh, you're dating yourself, Alan.
That was the way of getting two birds out of one stone, wasn't it?
So what would happen is, for those who don't know, unless you've seen it in a movie, on the party line, they really, one house's phone was an extension of the next door neighbor's phone or someone down the block. If they were calling Nick, then it would be one ring. If they were calling Amnon, it would be a second ring. The problem is that if Amnon's on the phone and Nick wants to make a call, he picks up the phone. If Amnon's talking, he's just picked up on his phone call.
Yep.
And
we were a little bit more forward there. It used to ring on the A leg. It used to ring one phone, and on the B leg, it used to ring the other. So it would ring to earth. So one leg of the line would ring one telephone, the other leg the other. But you're quite right. You pick the phone up together, and you'd actually be connected together because they were using the same pair of wires.
and just to date myself, I have talked on a party line telephone.
I had a party line telephone for 2 years, and I worked for the company.
Wow.
Yeah, we did too with a neighbour further up the road, and she was constant. Well, not constantly, but she was always on the phone. Every time you went to pick it up to make a call, she was on it. You think, are you going to be long? No, get off the phone. I'm on the phone. Get off the phone. Get off.
It was a temporary stopgap while we didn't have the exchange equipment and the line plant. And then as the line plant increased, it then went all segregated.
The Russians here in the U.S. now have the ability to listen in on all of our phone calls.
Yeah.
Just like the party line. They're using that party line technology to hack elections.
Did you just say that out loud?
Yep.
It's in the sine wave.
Yeah.
So to switch away from phones, but still history. Dan Cisco has discovered a technology that allows him to access half a dozen major TV channels completely free. It was just kind of surprised. I was just kind of surprised that this is technology that exists. The 28-year-old was saying, it's been awesome. It doesn't log out and doesn't skip. Let's hear a round of applause for TV antenna, often called rabbit ears. The technology invented roughly 7 decades ago, long before there was even a cord to be cut, which has been consigned to the technology trash can, along with the cassette tapes and VCRs. They were saying that millennials don't know what a rabbit ear or what an antenna is.
course not.
Everything was cable, 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 cable.
Anybody that was born within probably 2 or 3 years of me on either side probably doesn't.
It's you know, it's kind of hard.
I don't know where this guy lives, that he only gets 6 channels. I get about a dozen, and I'm in the middle of nowhere. But I've got. I mean, you can look back there. You can see my see my rabbit ears hanging out on top of the TV.
Yeah, and it works.
Yeah. The cool thing about the you know, they make it almost seem like, oh, it's the same thing. It's not, though. I mean,
Well,
now it's digital,
yeah.
so it's not. You know, it either works or it doesn't. There's no signal that's not good. It's just the channel either plays or the channel doesn't play. Outside of that, of obviously now that there's digital channels inside of each, there's sub channels up to, I think it's up to three or four depending on the channel. So there's some sub
15
channels
here.
there. Yeah.
There's 15 here.
It was good in the old days. Before it was digital, you just get a snowy picture and you'd move the aerial a little bit for depending which transmitter it was coming from. But you could still watch it if it was a bit snowy. But now, like you say, it's either there or it isn't.
And another thing that dates us, in a blog post, Trevor Elkins points out the large size of common apps like LinkedIn and Facebook. He said, I went to update all my apps the other day when something caught my eye. Since when does LinkedIn takes up 275 megabytes of space? Do you guys remember, Nick, I don't know that you would remember, but you guys remember when programs were really small? And we were saying...
They fitted on a floppy disk.
Yeah. And the reason why they kept on getting bloated is because there was more memory available on computers, there was more storage available on computers, and they can do all kind of things with more code in there that wasn't really didn't do anything for the actual productivity, but looked better and all that. And it gets getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We all remember the old days when you had a cartridge going to a computer. And those cartridges, I mean, my TI-99 4A had 16 megabytes of RAM in there. Computers before that had 4 megabytes on them. And you can do a lot of stuff. I was running my business on the TI-99 4A, my garage business back then, with a program that fit on a 16 megabyte worth of RAM. And it did everything.
Yeah, but it didn't do everything.
Well, not compared to what today, but it was
exactly.
It was
exactly.
Good.
I mean, that's the difference.
Well, no, but the thing is here is it kept on getting bloated. So this guy's saying, why does LinkedIn takes 275 megabytes of space?
I've got a question. Who cares how much space it takes? What is 300?
That's the thing. You see, that's the whole point.
Yeah, but what is 300 megabytes? I mean, who cares?
Yeah, but the point of the story is that today, with the more and more RAM in the phones, what is 275 megabytes?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't see it as a problem. I mean, just seems like it just doesn't make any
said,
sense.
In fact, the 6 apps in this in his update averaged roughly 230 megabytes in size.
Well, then that means LinkedIn
which
went to
which went to 1.3 megabytes in total. That would take 8 megabit internet connection, 24 minutes to download, and I'd still be left with 27 additional apps to update. More and more companies are adopting shorter release cycle, 2 weeks or so, and it's becoming an unsustainable as a consumer to update frequently. And again, if you're not on Wi-Fi.
Where are you reading this? Where did you get this article?
This one came from The Verge.
This guy has no idea what he's talking
Well-
about. And what a stupid article. Your phone automatically updates. I don't know what your apps don't update.
Actually,
on
I
your
don't
phone.
let my phone automatically update.
Yeah, but you don't use your phone, so that's not a good.
I
that's
go
not a
in
good
and
example.
and it says that there are updates available. Maybe it updates some things, but I need to go in and say, yeah, go ahead and update this and this and this. Or most of the time I say
Well,
update
I mean,
all.
and you can do that. That's your prerogative
Yeah,
to do that.
yeah.
But this guy's insane. That's writing this article.
It's
Oh my god, 55 megabytes. Oh my god.
the thing that I wanted to bring up is the fact that how short and small and compact programs were in the early days,
Oh yeah.
and how they got more and more bloated and more
Mhm.
and more and more and more. I mean,
Well, they had to be because you didn't have the capacity back then.
Yeah,
They had to be small.
yeah,
and
exactly.
compact.
And the programmers knew how to squeeze stuff. Microsoft Word was one file. It was one file that fit on a floppy, not a 1.44 floppy. It was amazing. I mean, Randy, friend of mine, was writing in assembler. And I guess Sean would know about this. You can do so much, and the code is so compact and fast.
Yep.
It's just.
I took a machine language programming class my last semester, and yeah, I mean there's a whole bunch of stuff you can do, but
Yeah.
I don't see the point of complaining about this
Well, when
stuff.
you look at it, the way that I understand it, every language is actually assembler, and it's compiled into the program, and then they use the compiled to write the new program, or maybe a few steps in the way, but it all goes down to machine language at the bottom.
Absolutely, yes.
And for those of you with phones and tablets, a ban on pedestrians looking at mobile phones or texting while crossing the street will take effect in Hawaii's largest city in late October, as Honolulu becomes the first major U.S. city to pass legislation aimed at reducing injuries and deaths from distracted walking. The ban comes as cities around the world grapple with how to protect phone-obsessed smartphone zombies, they call them, from injuring themselves by stepping into traffic or running into stationary objects. So starting October 26th, they will be fined between $15 and $99. And I'll skip, and it says, meanwhile, the city of London has tried putting pads on their lamppost to soften the blow for distracted walkers.
That's typical British for you. Wrap them up in cotton wool.
Oh boy!
I think both solutions are stupid.
I agree. I mean, if you're going to walk survival of the fittest, if you're going to walk out into an
Yeah.
intersection texting on your phone,
What-
then I mean, going to
what
happen what's going to
Problem
happen.
eliminates itself.
Yeah, exactly.
What was it? There was a city in Germany that put their traffic lights on the sidewalk,
On the pavements, yeah.
on the pavement,
Yeah.
so the people that are looking down could see. But if you're distracted, you're distracted.
Yeah, it's fine. Go for it. I don't. Who cares? I mean, really.
When
Oh.
I go out walking in town with a dog, I'm amazed the amount of people that are walking along and they just bob their head up or their eyes up every few seconds. You think you've got no idea what's happening around you at all.
Yeah, that's
Let me ask this
Completely zoned out.
Let me go around the room and ask. All seriousness, one of my best friends he's older than I am, which is old.
What? I'm not older than you are.
I said one of my best friends.
Oh, okay.
And it just annoys him to no end to see people just sit there on their phones nonstop. His own granddaughter and all that stuff just drives him nuts. And I say to him, get over it. It's a new generation. You were probably doing something your parents and grandparents didn't like. You lived, they'll live. But let me ask you a question. Is it just the new way of doing things, or is there a problem with this obsession with phones? Nick, you get to go first.
I think it depends. I mean, Mike, I spent some time with you this week, and I don't think I'm obsessively attached to my phone.
You are more than you realize.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on it every once in a while, but typically, so I think like a lot of other people, I use my phone when there's a lull in something going on. Like,
If you're bored.
exactly. I mean, I was, for people that don't know, I was up in Raleigh this week, and I stayed with Mike, and there were some times where nobody was around, so I just pick up my phone, pull up Reddit, and just scroll through it. I'm not looking for anything. It's just there's nothing else to do. I could sit there and stare at a clock, or I could sit there and stare at my phone. There are some people that are obsessed with it, that are literally on their phones 24/7. I was out with I went over to somebody's house for dinner last night, and I looked at my phone when I got there. I set it down, and I didn't touch it until I left. I was there for a little over 2 hours. But I think it depends on the person. Some people are absolutely obsessed with it.
Well, who are they talking to, Nick?
Well, that's the thing, is they're not talking to anybody. They're posting this, and that's the interesting thing is, well, Mike, when you, but see, that's the difference. When you use your phone, Mike, you're having a one-way conversation with another person, either on Twitter, a text message, an email. With things like Snapchat and Instagram and Facebook, you're just posting stuff to post it. You're not, in most cases, Snapchat's the best example. You're not sending a post to anybody specifically. You're sending it to 10, 20, 30, 100, 200, 300, 400 people. You're just posting stuff. You're not actually having a conversation with anybody. You're just posting stuff to post it. It's not, you're not engaged with any one person. You're sending it out to the masses. So it's a little bit different than like, oh, I'm talking to this person. Oh, now I'm talking to this person. Now I'm talking to this person. You're just posting stuff for the hell of it. And it just goes out to, however many people you decide to send it to. But there, I mean, I knew people that were 100% obsessed with their phone on it 24/7.
Well, the question though is it a problem?
I guess it depends.
Yeah, it is a problem.
I guess, how do you define a problem? If you're incapable of getting anything done in your life because you're attached to your phone, then it is a problem. If you can, if you're able to accomplish, if you're able to accomplish the tasks you need to accomplish, and use your phone, or while using your phone, then I guess it's not really that big of a deal.
They've done studies over here regarding this problem, this obsession, and they've called it FOMO, which is fear of missing out.
Mm-hmm.
People are frightened that they're going to miss out something on Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat, whatever it is. So they're constantly looking at their phone to see who's just posted what, and it's the fear that they might miss something that's the problem why they're always on it.
And part of it too is awkward, not even awkward social situations, just social situations where there's just people there that you're not familiar with.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I do. I mean, it's one of the things that I really try to resist, but I just, it's an urge. And I'm in a social situation where I'm not comfortable. I pull up my phone and I just look at it. I'm not looking at anything. I literally sometimes just look at the home screen. Because
that's a problem.
But it's just a temptation. I don't know what it is.
That's OCD.
Is it
OCD?
It's a warm and fuzzy feeling that you have something that's familiar. I mean, if you're sitting, I was going to say, look at it this way: if you go and you are going out to eat by yourself,
oh God, yeah,
and you're sitting somewhere at the table, and on a table, a couple tables away, there are four of your friends, people that you know, and there is an empty chair. Would you not want to go and sit with them?
Depends on now. See, this is the difference now because of social media and stuff. There are friends, people. There are friends, people that you talk to and people you're friendly with, and then there are people that you know.
Yeah. No. I'm talking about people that you know. Yeah. It's just a matter of we all want to belong and be
absolutely.
part of a group. And hang out with people that we know. So this is what they're doing. The phone becomes, I mean, I have people that come over here with their kids. Huh?
it's a phone's becoming a comfort blanket. Nobody
oh,
likes
yeah,
awkward
absolutely.
situations anymore. So
Uh,
grab the phone, and then you don't feel like you're in an awkward situation.
Absolutely. That's the thing is you and the thing is it's exact what's the word? Exalt what it makes it worse? When something
Exasperate.
yeah, the situation. You are
Exacerbate.
That's the one.
exasperate. You're sitting
Thank
with
you.
the phone, you are getting to be less and less social. Because you never develop it, that you never develop your social skills.
Yeah, people can't talk with each other anymore. They've got to
Right.
send a text. That's
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a serious. See,
interaction. It's people that are frightened of interaction now. They'd sooner do it on the phone than they would be to go up and speak to a stranger or look at a stranger even.
Yeah.
and I'm noticing this myself now because I'm in this situation. I literally know nobody here, and I've often found, well, and I've noticed too. I think I'm a pretty friendly person. I'll talk to almost anybody if they're willing to have a conversation. But I was doing laundry the other day, and I was talking with somebody in the laundry room, and this other person walked in and just stared at their phone. And I literally looked, they weren't doing anything. They were just staring at the phone screen. And I've been guilty of that myself probably 1,000 times.
We're waiting for Facebook to go ding.
No, but see that's where you're wrong. Nobody they're not waiting for Facebook to go ding. They're just looking at their phone so that they don't it makes the situation less awkward.
Yeah.
They're not and some people maybe are waiting for a notification to go ding, but in other cases they're just staring at the damn phone because there's nothing else to do.
Well, the thing is that nowadays, if somebody walks up to you and say, "Hey, do you fancy a chat?" You can think, "Well, what do you want? What's the matter with you? Have you got a knife? You're going to stab me?"
Well, maybe over there in the UK, I mean,
In the United States, we're going to shoot you.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's like on the tube and the underground in London. Nobody looks at anybody else. They're all staring at their phone. Nobody would dream of having a conversation unless you went onto the tube with a friend, and even then, you stifle the conversation because you're for fear of other people looking at you like you're crazy.
I took the train down to New York City a couple of years ago to go to a baseball game with Andrew, and it was probably a 2-hour train. It was probably about a 2-hour train ride, and I didn't talk to anybody on the train. I just sat on my phone the entire time.
Okay, but Dr. John makes a great point, and I think this is exactly what we were just talking about. 20 years ago, people sat in the waiting room and read magazines. Today, they use their phones.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
That illustrates that the behavior hasn't changed; the instrumentality has changed.
And you could totally throw quotes around read a magazine. In most cases, people just picked up a magazine so they just because
They didn't have to interact.
it's just okay, I'm doing something. Holding this, looking. I mean,
True. It's not that they wanted to read the magazine. It
Absolutely
was just
not.
there. Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah.
I don't want someone to talk to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I would say I wish somebody would talk to me, but since they don't, I don't know how to talk to them, so I'm going to pick up a magazine.
there you
Yeah,
go.
If somebody,
it's fear of interaction. You know,
Yeah.
if you don't know a group of people, you don't want to strike up a conversation. They certainly don't want to strike one up with you. So,
Right.
what are you going to do? Sit there and stare at the wall, like Nick said. Sit there, stare at the clock,
Exactly.
yep.
and they look at
Exactly.
you thinking, "Look at that nutcase sat there staring at the clock."
Yeah.
So
It's,
yeah,
it's very interesting.
to be-
I'll,
To be tethered to it and continuously look at it and interact with it continuously is a problem, in my opinion, Mike.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is that having raised two daughters, there's something that, and this is probably a stereotype, and it's not a negative, so I don't mean anything by it, but for some reason it seems that 14 to 18-year-old females tend to be glued to these things nonstop. Is there an issue there? I don't know. Are they going to become antisocial? I don't know. If they are, is that a good thing? I don't know. Or is it a bad thing? I don't know. It just seems to me that it's almost an addictive type behavior, and we're generally taught that anything that's addictive is probably not good.
Right.
It destroys balance.
I think we've got into a situation now where, as if you walk into a room of people and you look and you would say, "What's the matter with that nutcase? He hasn't got a phone." Because everyone else will be on the phone, and there's one person sat there sort of twiddling their thumbs, thinking, "I don't know what to do."
Yeah, I mean, case in point, last week I went into the Spectrum store to get my internet service set up, and the place was mobbed. And I just pulled up my phone and I just looked at it.
Here's something else we'll talk about at another time, because this is true too. In fact, Nick and I had this conversation yesterday. John says that a big change is that many people, including me, would rather text than call. Well, think about that. If you're going to call somebody, you're going to dial the number, then they're going to pick it up. Can I speak with so and so? Hold on just a minute. Let me see if you. Yeah. Wait, he was here just a minute ago. Wait a minute. Well, hang on a minute. Let me see. I mean, it just goes on and on. Then they get on the line. They want to talk for 30 minutes, as opposed to sending a text. We'll be there in 15 minutes. Boom. It was really funny because yesterday, either Nick misspoke or I misheard. He said Amnon sent me a text. I said that didn't happen.
Yeah, no, I did misspeak. That's exactly what I said.
Yeah, I mean, I would do that if I don't know where the person is, or if like I would send Hannah a text because I don't know, is she sitting in a lecture at school, or is she where you don't know what they're doing. So I would do that.
And so it was not an action of disrespect, because your daughter is welcome to call you at any time, day or night, if she needs to get up with you.
Absolutely. And she texts. But I understand why sometimes, like she's at work and she can't talk. But in most cases, she calls. And Dr. John, I would be the one to say I want to call rather than text.
He does.
Yeah, I like calling too. Now for simple conversations, like for example, I texted Mike a couple of times, like, "Oh, heading back," or "I'll be there in 10 minutes." There's no reason for me to call Mike to tell him I will be there in 10 minutes.
Yeah,
now, if I needed to ask Mike for directions, it would be a whole hell of a lot easier.
Yeah, but you
to
see,
call Mike and
when you were saying that you're going to stop by in the afternoon, I said, call me when you know when. Because
you don't carry your phone around with you.
Because I don't carry my phone, and even if I'm sitting in front of it, I don't look at it.
But see, I would have called. But see, I would have called. In that situation, I would have called anybody anyway, just because.
Yeah.
I mean, I got it to Emma when I was at your house yesterday. I got a text and I didn't respond for almost 25 minutes because I wasn't looking at my phone.
Yeah,
I was talking to you.
And that's what I was gonna say, Mike. He was sitting here the whole time, and didn't touch the phone. The phone was on the counter. And only when he got up to leave, he picked it up and said, "Oh, I just got a text." You know.
Well,
so
okay,
he's not glued to it, but he depends on it.
In some situations, I think I am though.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well,
Depends on
now
the situation.
that's one of the qualifications I was going to make a while ago. If something's going on in your life, somebody's just been taken to the hospital, there are things that happen. Yes, I'm absolutely glued to my phone, whether I'm texting, talking, or what have you. That we're not talking about that. That's what mobile communications are for. But having said that, I don't know. You go out and you walk into a restaurant and you see 4 people sitting at the table, and 2 of them are on their phone and the other 2 are talking to each other.
Right.
Seems to me to not necessarily.
There's a problem
the likelihood that both of them are dealing with life-threatening emergencies is probably fairly low.
Well, I mean, Mike, we were out to dinner Friday night. I hardly touched my phone. I maybe touched it a couple times when I went up to go grab something to drink or use the bathroom.
Yeah, you must have a guilty conscience. You're defending yourself. You do protest too much here. You must have wanted to pick up your phone.
Oh, I probably did. But I try really hard not to use my phone out. Because I agree. I mean, you're out with somebody. Why the hell are you? What are you doing?
You know, you're not interesting to me. I have to go see what's on Facebook.
Exactly.
See, that's the interesting thing is when I'm out at dinner, I'm not even looking at anything. I'm literally just like opening something up just to open it up. I don't know what it is. You know what? It's an addiction. I'm mentally ill. Problem solved. We'll see you next week.
All right. And with that.
Yeah.
You've got the other aspect as well, where sometimes you get a phone call, you think, "No, I don't want a phone call now, it's inconvenient." Or you ring somebody and you think, "I wonder if it's convenient." So what I generally do is I'll text the person, "Is it okay to ring you?" That's really bad.
Well, I agree.
Yeah.
No. All right. It's that time of day. Anybody has anything else they want to add before we sign off? I guess that means no. All right. Thanks, Steve, Jorvik,
Thank you.
Nick, Mike, Andrew. This was nice. It was very nice. And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie, and Donna. Thank you, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing, back up your hard drive, and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 8. At 9, sorry. But you can always reach us at computers2know.com. While you're at it, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Tonight at 7, Nick is hosting his show Against the Norm on Wilmington's Big Talker 106.7. Bye, everybody.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.